What's going on, my people? You're listening to The Score, an urban music education podcast hosted by Eric and Justin, where we discuss tips and strategies on how to become a more effective, compassionate, and culturally responsive music educator. What's going on, my people? This is Eric.
And this is Justin.
And we're your hosts for
The Score.
Welcome to episode 106, Protecting Your Peace, Balancing Demands in Music Education. What's going on, Justin? How you doing, bruh?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. You know, I can't complain. Spring break has sprung, and we are here now, going back into another week. I was a little under the weather for part of spring break. I didn't get to go to the rodeo. I didn't get my barbecue fix. But, you know, the kids had a great time. Saw Kung Fu Panda, number 4. It was pretty good. And so we had a great time, you know what I'm saying? Can't complain.
And you know, one thing that I've recognized is that we have a completely different spring break than our friends up in the north. So if
really?
You're hearing, yeah. So they have it actually much later than us. So they're probably like, spring break, what? Yeah. So Justin and I literally just got done with spring break, but my kiddos actually have 2 extra days, man.
Oh, that's fancy.
They don't get back till Wednesday. So
really,
so technically, what is that? 10 days off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so
I just feel like kids get way more time off in school these days than we ever did.
The bad part though, man, my kids' teachers don't have not one day off in April. They're going to be taxed.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're going to be ready for us to come pick them kids up in May.
Bro, because my wife and I are both PTO presidents for our kids' respective schools, and we saw their faces. Like that morning on Friday morning on the drop-off, we saw their faces like, you better be on time to pick up these kids.
To pick these kids up, because I need to go.
I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, and because I have even some teachers on the board with me and stuff like that, and I honor their time and just because, I mean, you and I were in the classroom, and that goes into today's topic, Justin. This has been kind of just weighing on me because of the roller coaster of health and peace that I had in the classroom, that you got to witness firsthand and support me and check me, and tell me to go home, and
vice versa.
And so it just, I wanted to unpack this with you because I had so many situations in my career inside the public school classroom that brought me to the brink of, took me to having to go see a doctor. And I just remember having those conversations with the physician, and the first question that she asked me, I remember this. She was like, "So what do you do again?" I was like, "Well, I'm a
she
band director."
Looked at your my chart and was like, "What?"
Yeah, literally like, "What do you do for work?" I was like, "I'm a band director," and she's like, "Do you have to do that?" And I remember I kind of sat there like, I think so. That's what I went to school for. That's what I went to school for. But I remember leaving there, man. She was like, if you don't change something, I'm putting you on blood pressure medicine. I'm putting you on cholesterol medicine. I'm going to order a sleep study. And I was like, what? Wow. And this was my second year being a head high school band director. I was a solid 25, 26, you know.
Yeah.
So it just, and you and I have recently started doing some presentations where we tell folks like, hey, you should attend the events you're invited to, but we followed up with, but you protect your peace.
For sure.
Like, don't go out there and start saying that. So
sure.
I kind of want to draw you back a little bit, Justin, to maybe the first situation while you were already a practitioner, you're in the classroom, and you felt the burn. You felt the burn a little bit. You started feeling the heat physically or emotionally. I want you to kind of draw yourself back to that moment, and where does that take you?
It takes me to probably my second year of being a head director. So I think, you know, starting off with you, I think we were able to balance some things well. I think you shielded me from a lot, being fresh off the stage of getting my degree and then working into the professional world of being a music educator and a band director. I mean, we worked. We did the region. We did the all city. We did all of the things, but I was still very much kind of shielded from all of it, right? By the time I'm in my second year being a full director, at this time I'm not married, but I've always stayed further away from the school. So I was staying like Energy Corridor Highway 6. And I remember I would have my after school rehearsals every day. Every day I'm having after school rehearsal, whether it's beginners, sectionals, jazz band, percussion, whatever it is. And I would use that time to not only teach and further extend what we were doing in the classroom during class, but also it was my time to get out of the 610 I-10 traffic. And I'll never forget, when I was driving home one night, we would usually go from 3:45 to about 5:30. Kids would leave by 6. I'd make sure the band hall was set up for the next day. I'd get on the road. I would get home by 6:30, 6:25. And I remember there was one week where I kept kind of like dozing off. Like the I-10, I hit Highway 6, come under the overpass, and I was like nodding. And at that moment, I was like, I have to make sure that I'm not overworking myself. Because when I say I'm nodding, everybody did nod it. If y'all listening to our podcast, please don't be up here acting holier than thou. Oh, no, I would never. It's bad driving. No, I'm talking about nodding where like you wake up and you're like, how did I make it through that light? Like these things are happening because I'm physically fatigued, even though I know my responsibilities. But it takes me back to that second year being a head director. And I was, man, I remember, I tell my wife now, there are moments where I would just pull over, get off the freeway, get off I-10, pull over there by the, it's the Dave and Buster's, just park and just take a quick little siesta. You know what I'm saying? Close my eyes for a quick sec, wake up, re-energize, and get home and do what I do. And she would always be like, that's so dangerous. I was like, some of the best sleep I've ever had. But that's what it takes me back to. You know what I'm saying? Just the demand of the job, especially teaching middle school.
Yep.
Middle school and HISD, where it is, you know, you either put up or shut up if you want to have a vibrant program that is effective, that's engaging, that's competitive, you know what I'm saying? And we're actually producing fruit for the high schools in the district at the time. It's just, I can remember like it was yesterday, man. I just dozing and just physically tired, bro. Physically and mentally drained at the end of each day.
And I don't think people assumed you to say that was middle school. Because I think the assumption is, especially with instrumental music teachers, it's, oh no, if you're a high school director, then that's
a whole nother conversation.
In which it is. But people assume that there's no fatigue, that there's no, you don't get tired at any level. And that's, and I'm glad you shared that, because I want folks to recognize this part, because we're not saying the demands aren't there. This profession is very demanding of you. That when I have conversations with up and coming and prospective future music educators, the first question I ask them, like, you ready to do this?
Right.
Like, is this what you want to do? They're like, what do you mean, sir? And I'm like, all right, let's talk about your weekends. Your fall semester is done. Literally done. You want to get to November, you're at Thanksgiving. Some of our Texas football teams are really good. And you might be done with marching band. Well, guess what? The school's not. And so you still have to go put on a show. And then if you have that, active and visible and arguably good principal, they're going to ask you, why don't you have a show on the field?
Right.
And, and for some of our Texas football teams, man, they're going into the weekend before Christmas, literally December 25th. My nephew in North Shore High School does that. That's one of those, like, you have to understand, not only is he going to potentially make state marching contests, but he's going to go into December and go to playoff games. And so our profession is highly demanding. So we're acknowledging that part. But one thing that, man, when I got into the profession, it honestly somewhat scared me, because mentors told me, like the great Ronald Thornton.
Right.
Heart attack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Overweight. You know what I mean? You hear about these things, and you start thinking about some of the folks that we look up to: divorced, separated, overweight.
Home life is just
you know what I mean? Like eating habits. It's like you start looking at the way you take care of yourself, and it's not there. It was kind of like we didn't have that example. And if we did, shout out to our friend Ben Proco, you had the far extreme who went to go run miles during his lunch, and so we're both laughing because
good times.
Justin and I both student taught with our friend Ben Proco at Oak Forest Elementary.
Great guy.
Now he's out at Brenham ISD, so shout out to our friend Bren there. Yeah. But I still remember him like at lunch, like, hey Eric, you wanna go run some miles? And I'm like, what? I remember looked at him like now, like during my lunch break. yeah, man, let's just do it. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to the
Oh,
Chinese
good, man. I'm
restaurant.
tired. I'm gonna go take a nap in the car, man. Come back with a
Right.
stick half of the
But
day.
that I think back, man, and I used to assume that you were supposed to wear the fatigue trophy.
Mm-hmm.
That I was supposed to put it on social media and take a picture
Right.
of my car. Nobody works harder than me. Look, I'm the last one to leave the parking lot. All the things that
Yeah.
we've been guilty of doing because we arguably saw somebody else do it.
For sure. It was caught. It
it
was
was-
nothing that we learned in higher ed at
Right?
all.
Like literally nobody said, hey guys, you should literally bring yourself to the point where you can't even keep your eyes open. That's when you're doing the best work. And
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to our mentor, Charlie Stevens, but how many times did that man fall asleep on the podium? You know what I mean?
Crazy.
And so all the alums are probably like, yeah, that man right there would just put his chin down to his chest and do the nod and be like, yep, yeah. Like I was saying, and
Let's go back to measure 8.
so now you have to recognize these things before it takes you to a point that you might not be able to come back from.
Right.
And that's what honestly scares me a little bit about some of our folks, that they go to the edge, and when they get to the edge, that's when they leave the profession.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you and I got to the edge of, hey, we want to consider something else, but it was not out of necessity to leave to protect our peace.
Yeah.
It was to expand our reach. It was to create and hopefully impact more music educators on a larger scale through this podcast and other initiatives. But then I know so many of my friends and colleagues that got to that edge and they're like, I'm done.
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
But they're like,
yeah.
but you just won state. You just won sweepstakes. You just did all the things that you're supposed to do that are metrics of success in our profession. And now you're done. Like, what? Now I'm going to go be a realtor. Now I'm going to go do this. Now I'm going to do all these things. And it's like, and then we also shame them for wanting to do something else. Like, yeah, if you're a band director, you're just going to go become a realtor. And I'm like, they got a network of folks. Let them make their money and make them bread. Like, who's to say that they're not going to come back and still clinic and do all these things? So I want to talk to you about recognizing the signs of burnout. And for me, you were there for me, bro. Like, you were there for me.
Sure.
Balaja was there for me.
Sure.
Tim was there for me. I can start naming my Chris Mosley. I can keep going with my community of folks that would look at me and say, Eric, bro, you're like, you're dog tired. Like, have you slept? And I'm, no, I haven't. It's like, and that part for me, I think if I didn't have y'all, at least, and then the best part is that y'all are my friends, y'all are my brothers, that y'all could literally check me with some stern words, with some assertive conversations, that if I didn't have that established relationship, we might not be able to get to that point immediately. And so I want you to think back, what happened for you, and like for both of us, because you said it was vice versa, because I did do that to you too. I was like, go home, I got it. And so what happened that you saw that within me, and just, I guess, expand on that, because it also goes into our relationship about being a head director and assistant director. How did that complement? How did they help each other? And so what was that part of our working relationship that strengthened our opportunity to just be more full with our kiddos?
I think we both got to a place where we looked at being educators and being band directors as there is no time capsule. Like, we're not against the clock trying to complete our job. Are we technically trying to meet deadlines, whether it's pre-UIL, deadlines of our sets and our shows? Are we trying to make sure kids are prepared for marching competition and region band? Yes. But in terms of the work that we're doing, when we get to said destination, whether that's the marching competition, whether that's the 10 to 12 kids that we feel comfortable going into region band auditions from our program, when we get to that finish line, everything that we've done, we've done. And I say that to say that our working relationship was not a competitive, who's leaving, I'm judging him because I'm still here and he's leaving, or vice versa. It was, we've done what we can do within the time that we've allotted for us to work with the kids. And so there were moments where you were like, hey, man, I want to push a little bit more in rehearsal. We may hold over a little bit. And we get there and I'm like, yo, the kid's done, E. Let's call it.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying? Or I'm in the middle of a wind ensemble rehearsal and Eric is there probably doing some admin work and he's walking out and he'll look at me and point to his clock and say, hey, man, Let's honor their time. And I got to be like, man, because what it was for Eric was during that fall semester, we are up against the clock trying to clean. And in the spring, I'm the one that's on the podium. I'm stuck on this section in music, and I want to clean it. And Eric is like, yo, let's honor the time. And so what he was holding me accountable to was what we told our students, but he was also looking out for me, right? And so I think for both of us, we had a mandate that says we're going to do what we're going to do while we're here. If we work an extra 30 minutes or go an extra hour at another rehearsal, is that going to change the outcome? It possibly could, but it could also be the same outcome as it was going to be in the first place. And so I just think that, one of the things that I would tell young directors and those that are seasoned and moving to a different school, different district, if you're an assistant director, which is where I spent a good portion of my career, make sure you're working with someone that acknowledges life outside of the office space.
That's good. That's real good.
Like, I know we ask a lot of questions about, what's the feeder program? What's the fine arts director like? What's the community like? Is it a supportive principal? And I think those things are important. What is the culture like within the band program? Those things are important. I'm not saying don't do your Googles, as the kids say. What I am saying is, are you also being very intentional about who are you going to assist? What team are you going to be a part of? And look to see what are their expectations and what is their mandate. And if it does not match with yours, it could look good on paper and on your resume, but emotionally, physically, mentally, it's going to be a toil. It's going to be that. It's going to be a toil because y'all don't hold the same mindset. And me and Eric, we held that same mindset, so much so where we did a lot of back end planning, and we said, these are the things we're going to do this year. These are the things. We'll leave a room for if our principal comes up last minute, hey, can y'all do this on behalf of this? I scratch your back, you scratch mine. Cool. But what we're not going to do is try to add things just to be out there. We can get everything accomplished. These kids can be just as successful, meet the needs, and we don't have to be trying to keep up with the Joneses because we're going to every preliminary, every BOA, every this, that, and the third. This is not a knock to those band programs. But what I am saying is when we were able to pull each other's coattails and remind each other, when Eric says, hey, I'll watch the kids after percussion rehearsal, go home. Great rehearsal. Or, hey, E, I'm in the truck. I'm going to drive around the campus. Go ahead and go home. You got a shorter drive? Go. You got it. It's because we both are respectful of each other and understand that Eric and Justin have lives outside of this program. So if I tire myself out from this, what life am I going to be able to effectively have, which ultimately helps me do this life better? I think that's also a misconception too, E. Like, if Eric is only pouring in behind the desk and on the bandstand, then his wife that gives him joy and contentment, his kids that give him joy and contentment, he has no space for that to be filled. And so now he's giving half of himself or none of himself in those environments and then showing back up. That's a recipe for disaster.
As we take a break from our discussion, we're jumping into the segment called In Rotation. During this time, each of us will get an opportunity to share what we're currently listening to, favorite artists, genre, album, playlists. If you have any recommendations, drop us a line on our social media platforms at PodTheScore or send us an email, podthescore@gmail.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
In rotation, folks. All right, so I don't know why I haven't mentioned this artist before, but luckily I went back to some of my tracks that I've been playing recently on Spotify, and I found this guy off of TikTok. Just scrolling For You page. Artist's name is Obed Padilla. O-B as in boy, E-D as in dog, then Padilla. He's from California, singer, songwriter, producer, engineer. And so I went digging into his history a little bit because first I want to talk about his history. So he started off his career in church, Latino guy out of California. Dad's a pastor, learned how to sing and play electric guitar in church. Then went off into the music industry by playing electric guitar and lead guitar with a band. Then taught himself how to produce and engineer through YouTube University. And wow. So I kind of read through some of his interviews, and he's talking about what advice he has of folks, and he was like, man, I should have just jumped on the YouTube sooner and started teaching myself more. Like, and he said, what advice do you have? He said, man, go out there and get it. He's like, one thing that I had is I was dead broke, so I had to adapt and persist. And just hearing him, but the dope part about him, if you ever get to listen to him, man, he has this kind of flow to him that almost has like this indie sound, but he raps in English and in Spanish. And nice. Just has this dope flow to him, and I love the cadence of his flow, and a lot of that is because I live in the hyphen, and so meaning that I was both a person who appreciated Latino Spanish music, and I'd go and buy the brand new Swisher House CD that just dropped that weekend. And what ended up happening during that time, during the early 2000s here in Houston, is that you started seeing this hybrid of Latino and hip hop culture started happening, and he kind of embodies that. So his name is Obed Padilla. Check out all his tracks. He's on Spotify. I just started, but Sabor is one that he just dropped recently. That's Obed Padilla. Justin, what you got?
All right, so I got this guy named Jairus Mozee. Now, for all of my gospel heads out there was a moment in time where when we were in middle school and high school, we were jumping on YouTube, burning DVDs of things called gospel chops. It's where you could watch professionals play all your favorite licks and things from some of the hottest gospel records out at the time. Well, during this time, they also did a version with guitar players. And so Jairus Mozee, or Mozee, I may be saying that wrong, but I would watch his videos. He's a guitarist, and I would just listen to how he approached music and his chord structures and his inflections and things of that nature. He went on to not only play gospel records, but toured every major R&B, hip-hop, pop artist, all of that. He's an amazing guitarist. He's an amazing just kind of arranger, producer, songwriter. But he just released this song that I've been jamming like crazy called 1968. And it's just an instrumental piece. There's some background vocals, but the way that he has arranged this guitar, this rhythm guitar on top of these chords, it sounds almost kind of like a Marvin Gaye-esque type song, but it's just really good riding music. He has a litany of things that you can listen to on Apple Music or wherever you get your music from. But this single, 1968 by Jairus Mozee, please go check it out. It's really cool, great music. The melodies, the chord structures, the changes, and the way that he sets the music up in terms of introducing a melodic line and then laying back and playing the chords with the vibrato on the guitar. It's making me want to go it's making me want to be a part of Motown. Make me want to change my name. But so check that out when you get a chance.
All right, we're back. So Justin, man, first half you touched on a couple things that, man, you took me back a little bit, and it honestly took me back to a moment where I forgot that I did this every year with y'all. Is that I sat down and asked for your personal goals.
Yeah.
What are things that you want to do outside? How can I support you in doing so? And in return, I would say, if you handle your business here, that should give you all the flexibility to do it there. So I want to talk about some strategies that's just one that came from the head director to make sure that he was aware of the staff's values, what they found important. So I'll give you some examples of that. Shout out to my former colleague, Stephen Becker. His thing was, when we're off a contract, we're off a contract.
Right. I remember that.
You remember that. And we've had friends and colleagues that were like, man, we work to no matter what, and we do X, Y, and Z. And I remember when I first walked into that space, I didn't know how to navigate that, because it was like, no, we still got a job to do. And sometimes we have to have clinics or we have to do fundraisers. And it's like, no, you got to honor people's contract. Mm-hmm. Like, literally, it's a legal document. like we have to start doing that. And if you're not, then I would ask that you revisit your structure of working while you're in contract. And what I mean by that, do you waste time?
I want you to go down this road.
Yes.
Because I think that we have sold ourselves that one model works, and this has been working since band has been banding. And so, no, I want you to go here, man.
So, we talked about the fatigue, right? Like the badge of honor. Once I got to a place, and I remember this, man, that I left becoming a head high school band director at Davis High School, not Northside High School, and I went to become an assistant principal, which is a whole other level of tired right there. And then I went back to being a high school band director. Well, that year of being a assistant principal taught me so much. Essentially, it taught me that you can get so much more done while you're there and be efficient with your time. And I remember thinking that I'm going to carry that into this new space. And I walked into Heights High School at the time when Justin wasn't working with me yet. I was still there the first year without him. He joined me the second year. That first year, we only had 50 returning members. They had just gotten, I think, a 445 on stage at concert sight reading. The kids pretty much hated each other. They didn't like being in this space. So go ahead and add the fact that the staff was feeling some type of way as well. Some of them had been there for 15 years. Some of them were alums. And I remember walking in, I'm just thinking to myself, we're going to do as much as we can with the time that we have, and we're going to go home. Right. And I literally said it that simple. It was like, we're going to do as much as we can with the time that we have, and then we're going to go home. And then we're going to come back and do it all over again. Yep. Because it took me back to when you and I were working at Hamilton Middle School, and we ended up getting the schools, one of the school's first ever sweepstakes at UIO concert sight reading in over, I think they hadn't gone to UIO in over 40 years. And sitting there, and you and I went to go celebrate, and without sharing too much, you know, I had kind of like this, I imploded. Like, I just, you know, created this level of success, and Justin touched on this. Now I got the thing to put on my resume. Yep. Now I got the thing to say I've done it, but at what cost? And that's the cost that this whole episode is talking about. Yeah. It's literally, it was at the cost of me. It was the cost of friendships. Like, I got in a fight with my roommate who was my best friend since 6th grade, you know, over petty stuff. You know what I mean? But what was I doing? I was letting it linger. I was letting it fester because all that was important to me was to make a first division. And that first division was multifaceted in the way that I need to prove a point that I'm an inner city band director and I'm good at what I do. I'm a product of an inner city school and I'm good at what I do. I'm an HBCU alum and I'm good at what I do. So I'm wearing that chip on my shoulder like I have to prove my way. Right.
But it was never about being efficient. It was never about.
It never was. Bro, my boys literally just teased me saying, man, bro, you remember when you were a band director at that middle school, you used to fall asleep on the couch? Like literally, you had like a piece of bread on your stomach that you didn't even finish eating. And I'm like, bro, let's not talk about that. But I remember those nights of late night Whataburger because that's what's open. So you shove your face with fast food, and then you pass out with a half-eaten burger on the couch, and you're so exhausted, and just so it really starts thinking about what can we put into place that truly helps us protect our peace. And you're hearing this phrase from me right now. It's efficiency. It's so much efficiency. And here's the thing that you have to be okay with. Leaving work for tomorrow. Like literally, you see a list of things, you drop that thing over for tomorrow. And it's like, this is what I got. This is what I can do for today. I'm going to close my laptop and I'm going to go home. Because I can still remember Tim Richardson, man, and much as past guest of ours. And I remember him working with me for the first time. And I remember, I think when we called him, he was working at I think it was like Subway at the time when he was already degreed and certified. He's like, I'm coming. I'm going to work with you. And I remember thinking, I was like, hey, bro, I got this. The same way that Justin is telling y'all that I would tell him, go home. I'll stay late. I'll take the late shift tonight. And then they'd be like, no, I'm good. I'll just hang out. And I was like, no, go home. I want you to go home. Right. And I remember Tim was like, nah. And I ain't got nothing to do. And I was like, cool. Then go do nothing. I still remember that vividly looking at him in his face. And he's looking at me like, what? I was like, bro, I am dead serious. Go sit on your couch, stare into the abyss, stare at a blank screen. I don't care what you do, but you're going home. Yeah,
for sure.
You know, and that's the part where we need to start encouraging each other to create these strategies for balance. That's, you know, and I have I guess an issue with that term balance because is there truly ever balances?
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
It's kind of one of those like, I get it. I get what the intent of that word was, but there might be days or weeks that it's like, no, you working on 10 today. So for example, now working in the industry, my TMEA is completely different from an educator's TMEA. So that I'm over here at the showroom floor from, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then there's receptions afterwards, and there's dinners, and there's meetups, and there's hangs. And then I'm not getting into bed till sometimes 10, 11, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then I got to get up and do it all over again. And it's because my mission hasn't changed, but I know that week of February, it's almost like contest season back as a Texas band director. You're going to be tired. And
Yep.
but should we be that tired? You know what I mean? Like, and it goes
Right.
back into that question. So what things did you put in place? And I know some of the things that we did together, but you specifically did to protect your peace when you were in the classroom.
I just created a schedule, and I planned everything up front so that I already know what's going on. That like by the time I got to Hightower, from learning what I did at Hamilton and Heights, what I wanted to do over the summer was to plan out my fall semester to make sure, like, by the time we're coming out of football season, here's where percussion ensemble is going to go. Here are my days for me being there for wind ensemble rehearsal and symphonic band rehearsal. Then I'm planning out my class so that way when I have rehearsal, I'm not trying to reteach what I didn't get to in class because I didn't plan and prepare. So that means I know I would create these what we would call objective sheets, and those objective sheets would be all of the things I want to cover within a 9 weeks, within a 6 weeks, and how I would then flow that into my rehearsal time. The other thing I started doing was taking advantage of my planning period. Now I know that can be a very scary word. That's a I don't barely have time to do nothing. But in actuality, just I don't want a spoiler alert. We actually have a lot of time on our planning time, but because we are so tired, we need something for our brain to just decompress. We were at rehearsal all night last night. We got up early. We came in. We did duty. We were teaching from 8 o'clock to 12, or 8 o'clock to 11 nonstop. So now I have this 30 or 45 minute break time. So what am I going to do? I'm going to scroll through YouTube and look at all the sports stuff. I'm going to read all of the band director things, or I'm going to just sit here and just kind of scroll through emails aimlessly because that's my rest time. I get it. Been there, done that. What I'm saying is, if we manage our time and plan out what we want to do each day, then that creates less stress, and it allows us to see, this is what I plan to do today. If I didn't finish this, I'll pick up with it tomorrow with the things we have to get done. And it was funny because when I was working at Hightower, Miss Riley, we would be sitting there in the office and we'd be talking, catching up, asking each other about rehearsal. And she would just be like, Justin, I want to get organized. Like, I see you with your little black book. You you got all your documents. And I said, it took time, Miss Riley. You know what I'm saying? But it allows me to move and to always know what's happening when I walk through those doors, when I walk in my band hall. So I think what we have to do is, we need to be intentional with what we're doing with our instructional time and our practice and our event time. But we also need to plan what rehearsals are going to be happening. What we did at Hightower, very similar to Heights. During the summer, or right before the year was over, Eric would say, okay, what are y'all thinking about fall rehearsal schedule? What day would you like to have off? So we took a risk. We took a very big risk in the marching band world by saying there was going to be a day where I did not attend marching rehearsal.
Oh man, I forgot about that. Look at that.
Whether that be Monday was percussion and guard, so all the winds went home. That means Eric was able to get out of there early, Becker was able to get out of there early, any of our techs didn't have to come in that day. And then Tuesday was brass and woodwinds, no guard, no percussion. So now here's where Eric had to pull my coat. I was like, oh man, that's some time I could probably work with the quint line, or I could go home. So that was the time for me to get on the road, go home, enjoy my rest, or even sit in my office and just relax, catch a breath, right? And so by the time I got to Hightower, we were working through that process as well. And so now the kids are getting a day off. Staff is having time where it's like, hey, I may need to cut out early. My kids have this, or I need to leave, or I'm not going to be. So there's this mutual level of respect and care for everybody's schedule and time. But we had to plan that. That wasn't something we came up with, during band camp. That's something we talked about in the spring. We implemented during band camp. We told our parents about it. We rolled that out. And so I think if we spend more time planning and doing what Eric would call front loading your work, front loading your work, knowing when you're going to rehearse, knowing what's going to be right. So like Eric would say, hey, during your sectional, these are the things I want you to cover. Cover these sets from these movements. Well, then by the time we meet up for full band rehearsal on Wednesday, everybody has done those sets. So now that makes our work that much more intentional on a Wednesday, because that 2.5 or 3 hours I had on Monday, I focused on those sets. So now this 2.5, 3 hours, we can clean those sets, add more sets. And we can leave on time, feel good, not be at home stressed, maybe a little tired, a little worried, but at the end of the day, we did the planning work. And sometimes it's hard to plan. But as a band director, we're planning. You're planning at drum camp, then you planning again at the end of marching season, then you planning in the middle of contest UIL because you're picking shows. So it's an ongoing concept. I'd rather us overwork ourselves with our planning than the actual implementation of rehearsals and things like that. So
Here's another one, folks. I want you to encourage yourself to start using the word no.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's like, hey, we need your music program to do a performance this Thursday. Today's Wednesday. And yeah, literally, no. I'm sorry. No, my calendar has been set. You know, and I get it. You know, when I was a young teacher, I was afraid to say no. You know, afraid of the repercussions, afraid what that might look like on my appraisal, afraid of that would that tarnish my relationship with administration. I assumed I had to say yes to everything. And the power of no is so important, because when you say no, you're able to say yes to the things that matter.
Right.
And the things that matter, for us, there's things that matter outside that classroom.
Eric, stop. It's dangerous.
Yeah, I know. And I get it. But that's the important part about setting boundaries.
Yeah.
Is letting folks know, hey, I'm going to respond to you, but I'm going to respond to you when I'm back on my desk. Yeah, I have email on my phone, but it's 8 p.m.
Right.
I'll respond on Monday. You know, it's like, I got you. And guess what? I'm going to respond. And then you might get that email. It's Friday at 4 p.m. and you're done already. And you get, an upset parent email. Respond on Monday, first thing. And you might have a few more by Sunday, and it's like, thank you for your, attention to this. But I got back to you as soon as I got back to my computer, my desk. And, and then they understand, they're going to get back to you. And I remember like setting up these work structures, and I actually learned this as an assistant principal. My principal had this non-negotiable for us that was like, you need to respond to every email within 24 or 48 hours.
Right.
Even if that response is, I don't know, but I'm going to find out the answer for you. And I took that method into everything that I do now. Just like acknowledge, hey, I got the email. See you. I'm going to get you back. I hit you back up with this. But it gets into this method of consistency. And I'm going to use my dad's phrase that he told me whenever I jumped back into the band hall after being an assistant principal. He's like, I'm glad you're doing this, son, but I need you to figure out how to budget your energy.
I remember that.
And I was like, huh? And he's like, I need you to budget energy for your band. I need you to budget energy for your kids. I need you to budget energy for your wife, for yourself. And it goes into this model that recently 168 hours, and I believe that's the number of hours we have in a week, that my brother sat me down and was like, all right, brother, create your week schedule. I was like, what? He's like, let's create your week life schedule. And I was like, what's the first thing you need to put on there? And I was like, what do you have to do? And I was like, I guess sleep. All right, cool. How many hours a day? What are you shooting for? I was like, I don't know, 6 to 7. Cool. Times 7. Go ahead and put it in. How many do you have left? And I kept going down. I was like, what do you need to do? I was like, work. How many hours is that a week? I don't know, like 50.
It's just taking you by surprise.
Yeah. And I was like, bro, I got to take this home to make sure and he's like, why? Why do you need to take it home? Well, I need to bring it down to 0. And he's like, when did I ever tell you need to bring it down to 0? But it was my model of work ethic that I had.
Yep. Because we've seen everybody else do it.
Literally, my parents, we didn't have weekends. We were at the flea market working. My band directors, we didn't have weekends. We were at a contest.
Right.
oh, there's a free weekend? Let's plan a parade. You know what I mean? We always filled our schedule. And I would encourage folks, and especially if you have spring break coming up, I would encourage you that you block time with nothing. Literally, block your calendar with the word nothing, or chill, or TV, or lax, or walk, or whatever thing you do that truly, takes care of you, gets you lost. One thing that I've started doing recently is going back into meditation, just every morning, 5-10 minutes of something. But these boundaries, my people, and this can be a multi-series kind of episode topic. But the important part about all this that you're hearing from Justin and I is that we've been through it, and we're still going through it. Because now in our new spaces, in our new roles, we still get tired. We still get exhausted. And then what you have to do is learn from your mistakes, just like Justin and I did. Okay, cool. That sucked. And I got to the point of almost falling asleep on the drive home after that marching season. Yeah, I'm not doing that again. So let me figure out what I have to do different with my team to ensure that that doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Just the same way that we all learn from our mistakes.
Yeah.
So Justin, man, let's take us away, man. What are some final takeaways for you and some encouragement for our listeners?
Yeah, I think being tired is inevitable. But how you handle that and how you are proactive in meeting that human experience need is really based on care for self. I hope we don't miss that. Like, ultimately, we're not saying don't care for your brand or your program or your convictions as a music educator, whether you are elementary, middle school, high school, collegiate, community, whatever that is, care for it, pour into it, invest yourself in it, but do not waste away at sacrificing your own health, right? There's another day, there's more music, there's more students, there's more opportunities and experiences. So be intentional with honoring your time for yourself, but also do the legwork of planning so you can meet every need and every non-negotiable that's in your brain, whether that's a rehearsal, music, picking leadership, whatever it is. There's time for you to sit behind your desk, sitting at home in the comfort of your own home with your computer, pen and pad, and writing this thing out. I believe if you can write it out, assign it to a date and time, schedule it out, now you can meet those needs and still have your need met of getting space and time to rest, to recalibrate, to be rejuvenated, to go in and do the great work that all of you are doing in whatever state or area that you're in. So, yeah.
This has been another production of The Score. Connect with us on social media at Pod The Score. Send us an email, podthescore@gmail.com, or visit our website, revivalmusicproject.org. If you've enjoyed this episode, do us a huge favor. Rate and review us. This will help us reach even more listeners. Intro music by Justin McLean. The rotation and outro music by Ben Borges. And as always, let's continue to impact these lives through the vehicle of music.